They flogged a queen, brutalized her daughters, and assumed she'd stay silent. Instead, she raised an army of 100,000 and burned 3 Roman cities to ash. In the 1st century AD, the Roman Empire was the most powerful force the world had ever seen. It had conquered most of the known world. And in the year 43 AD, it came for Britain. Among the peoples of Britain were the Iceni, a Celtic tribe in what is now eastern England. Their king, Prasutagus, made a careful bargain to survive. He ruled as a nominal ally of Rome, and when he died, he tried to protect his family with his will. He left his kingdom jointly to his 2 daughters and to the Roman emperor, hoping that gesture would keep Rome's protection. Rome ignored the will entirely. They annexed his kingdom. They seized the lands of his nobles. They treated the Iceni not as allies, but as the conquered. And then they did something they would come to regret for the rest of Britain's Roman history. They had the king's widow, the queen, publicly flogged. And they assaulted her 2 daughters. Her name was Boudica. The Roman historians who wrote about her described a towering woman with a fierce gaze and a great mass of tawny hair falling to her hips, a golden torque at her neck, and a voice that could command an army. And command an army she did. The Iceni rose. And they were not alone. A neighboring people, the Trinovantes, who had their own bitter grievances against Rome, joined her. Then others followed. Soon Boudica stood at the head of a force that ancient sources number in the many tens of thousands, by some accounts, around 100,000 strong, and the timing could not have been better. The Roman governor, Suetonius Paulinus, was far away in the west, campaigning against the island of Mona off the coast of Wales. Britain's heart was exposed. Boudica struck first at Camulodunum, modern Colchester, the symbol of Roman power, home to a great temple to a deified emperor that the Britons saw as a monument to their own subjugation. The Romans there had almost no defenses. The survivors crowded into the temple and held out for 2 days. Then it fell, and Boudica's army burned Camulodunum to the ground. Archaeologists today still find the thick layer of scorched earth she left behind. A Roman legion, the 9th, marched to stop her. She destroyed it. Its infantry were annihilated. Only the commander and some cavalry escaped. Then she turned toward Londinium, Roman London. The governor Suetonius raced back across the country and reached London first. But he took one look at his numbers and made a cold decision. He could not hold it. So he abandoned the city, and everyone who could not flee with him. Boudica burned Londinium to the ground. To this day, beneath the streets of modern London, there is a layer of red-black ash from the fire she set. Archaeologists call it the Boudican destruction horizon. Then she burned a 3rd city, Verulamium, modern St. Albans. By the Roman accounts, the death toll across the 3 cities reached as high as 70,000. The Emperor Nero, it was said, considered abandoning Britain altogether. One woman had brought the most powerful empire on earth to the brink of losing an entire province. But Rome was not finished. Suetonius gathered what forces he could, perhaps 10,000, disciplined, heavily armored legionaries. He chose his ground with brutal care, a narrow place with forest at his back, so that Boudica's vast numbers could not surround him. Boudica addressed her army. By Tacitus's account, she rode before them with her daughters and declared that she fought not as a noblewoman for her kingdom, but as an ordinary woman for her lost freedom and her violated children. Then the Britons charged, and they charged straight into the trap. Funneled into a narrow front, Boudica's enormous numbers meant nothing. The Roman javelins and discipline cut them down, and when the Britons tried to flee, they found their own wagons, drawn up at the rear with their families watching, blocking their escape. It was a catastrophe. The revolt was broken in a single battle. Boudica did not let Rome take her alive. The sources say she died soon after, most likely by poison. Rome held Britain. The rebellion had failed. And yet, Boudica had terrified the most powerful empire in the world. She had burned 3 of its cities and destroyed a legion. She forced Rome to rethink how brutally it could push the people it conquered. And across the centuries, she became something the Romans never intended: a legend, a national symbol of defiance, a queen who refused to stay silent. Today, her statue stands in bronze near the Houses of Parliament in London, a warrior queen in her chariot in the very city she once burned. Boudica, the woman who made an empire afraid. If you want more stories, History Forgot, subscribe to Time Arc Stories. A new one drops every day.